What can I do? Ahsoka!
The final season of Rebels is full of many strange choices, contradictions, and worse, plot holes. The sudden and rather forced death of Kanan Jarrus, mere moments after professing his love to Hera Syndulla, which somehow resulted in a child. Grand Admiral Thrawn's defeat via Ezra and his space whales, despite being shown to acquire massive stores of information regarding his opponents, which would have included Ezra's connection to the Purgles. However, perhaps the most famous example was the introduction of the World Between Worlds, effectively an infinite hallway of doors that allows for characters to see and interact with glimpses in the past, the present, and even the future. In stories with time travel, rules are quickly established of what can and cannot be done with it, including the consequences of breaking those rules. Pluck a person from the past, and you may completely unravel the future via their absence. Encounter a past version of yourself, and you may result in catastrophe. Attempt to rewrite a moment in history, and you may just create the moment you were trying to stop. These are common rules with successful time travel usages in stories where the time travel mechanic is not the main focus of the film, rather a supplement meant to get us to the point of the story. And in each one, the consequences of making a change to the past are either expressed clearly by the characters, or are shown by the immediate aftermath. However, these rules must not only be stated, but must be adhered to carefully and explanations given if they cannot be followed. As a sound of thunder made famous, step on a butterfly, and you change who becomes president. Which brings us to the question of the world between worlds. Does it establish its rules, and does it adhere to them? And if not adhere, then is there an explanation given? Yes and no. In introducing the world between worlds, we are shown firsthand its power when Ezra Bridger plucks Ahsoka Tano mere moments from her imminent death, and no consequences occur because of it. Time does not bend in on itself, nor does the future seem to completely unravel. Impeccable timing and a quick draw were enough, apparently. However, not a few minutes after this, the episode proceeds to try and shoehorn in a contradictory rule when Ezra proposes to save Kanan from his own certain death the same way he did with Ahsoka.
I can reach him.
Ezra, Kanan gave his life so that you could live. If he's taken out of this moment, you all die.
The problem with this explanation is that we've been previously shown that Ezra was capable of saving Ahsoka, literal seconds from her being cut down, and in this scene, there is an exact same window of saving Kanan and preventing any sort of deaths from occurring, while still allowing the moment to be changed. In a sense, the scene establishes a post-ex facto rule that it broke not 2 scenes before. The only reason why Kanan was not saved the same way as Ahsoka was to purely preserve his death scene and the emotional impact it had. In short, it's pure plot contrivance and was only really introduced to save one character. This ultimately brings about the biggest issue with introducing this time travel mechanic, because consistent rules for it have not been clearly established, nor the consequences for not following them, as well as presenting the idea that the past can be altered without completely destroying the fabric of reality as is in many other stories. It creates a very dangerous element to the story. Anything in the past can be changed to suit the needs of the present. This has ultimately led to the outcry at the rumors that Episode 9 may feature time travel, and even worse, that Rey could ultimately become the mother of Anakin Skywalker by taking on the mantle of Shmi Skywalker. Even if these rumors are not true, the potential for such blatant retroactive changes is still very prevalent, especially considering Disney has shown no qualms about revisioning the past to suit their needs even without the time travel mechanic. Without clearly established rules, limitations, consequences, and a clear idea of what this mechanic can and cannot do, the world between worlds could literally break Star Wars and reduce it to an unrecognizable mess, even more so than it already is. In short, nothing truly matters when one can simply slip through the portal and change events as they and the writers see fit. In the case of Rebels, this also creates a serious plot hole that has not been, nor probably ever will be, addressed in the universe. At the end of the series, Ahsoka is deposited back to where we last saw her at the end of Twilight of the Apprentice, effectively a full year prior to the events of Season 4, with full knowledge of what will happen in the future. Does Ahsoka use that knowledge to prevent all the terrible things that happened from happening? Does she use this knowledge to save Kanan, prevent the rebellion from getting its teeth kicked in by Thrawn, possibly reach out to Kenobi on Tatooine, and prevent Emperor Palpatine from discovering the world between worlds? The unfortunate answer is no. She completely disappears from the story only to return for the epilogue, which takes place after the end of Return of the Jedi. So not only has Ahsoka been present for the final seasons of Rebels, but also the events of the original trilogy, and she does nothing. Instead of attempting to prevent the deaths of so many friends that will happen in a few short months, she does nothing. Instead of intervening in the Galactic Civil War and potentially preventing the deaths of billions, she does nothing. Instead of providing a mentor to her effective surrogate niece and nephew and advancing their training in the Force, she does nothing. And instead of aiding said niece and nephew in the chaos of the post-Empire galaxy, helping them build a new government and Jedi Order respectfully, and perhaps in turn prevent Ben Solo from turning to the dark side, she does nothing. Instead, she leaves for the unknown regions to once again disappear from the story. Which begs the question, why even allow her to survive her duel with Vader if she is not going to be allowed to contribute anything to the story? I suppose the greater question would be, why even introduce such a sloppy time travel mechanic to the universe to begin with?
I've got a bad feeling about this.